As Alberta's oldest conservation organization, the Alberta Fish and Game Association represents over 25,000 members in 80 clubs throughout the province. It's our members that make the organization such a powerful voice in conservation. Additionally, the AFGA is the voice of sportsmen and women in Alberta, and being a member adds volume to that voice. If you are a hunter, angler, or just love the outdoors, you can't afford not to be a member. The Wildlife Trust Fund is Alberta's oldest and most respected land trust and has grown to include over 100 properties across the province that encompass in excess of 40,000 acres of important fish and wildlife habitat. In addition to conserving critical habitat, Wildlife Trust Fund properties provide recreational opportunities for all outdoor enthusiasts. With recreational access becoming increasingly difficult to find and habitat disappearing at an alarming rate, these properties are becoming more critical than ever and are only possible through the generosity of our clubs and members. In 2017, the Wildlife Trust Fund acquired 9 new properties that encompass over 2,000 acres. None of this would have been possible without our clubs and members identifying new properties, fundraising, and stepping up to steward conservation sites to ensure we get the most benefit possible for our wildlife resources.
Working with other conservation partners, the Wildlife Trust Fund had another exceptional year in 2017. Most years we try to flex our dollars by 10 times. The clubs are very generous generating that money to start with, but last year we flexed it by thousands of dollars. We spent very little. We actually spent more on legal fees on donated properties than we did on purchase, but in total we brought in over $2 million worth of property to add to our trust, which is pretty amazing. It's a legacy for our clubs, for our future generations, and our clubs should be very proud of the dollars they helped us raise so that we could be that efficient with our partners in the field. The Wildlife Trust Fund's conservation partners play a key role in our properties, not only to help acquire them, but to manage them and study them into the future. And it's really important that our clubs recognize the role that they play. They bring a wealth of staff and knowledge to the table, and we get to share that in all of our properties and management to ensure that they are the best habitat as we move into the future. One of the most exciting property acquisitions in 2017 has to be the Pomrink Homestead property. We were approached by Fred Pomrink, the nephew of Friedel Pomrink, owner of this unique quarter section by Ranfurly, Alberta. Friedel has managed the property his whole life for conservation values and just enjoyed nature in a way that most people can't even understand. The family worked together and discussed things, and while Friedel was still alive, they decided that they would donate the property to the Alberta Fish and Game Association Wildlife Trust Fund, and we were going to share that donation with the Alberta Conservation Association, in turn fulfilling Friedel's lifelong dream of having his property as a conservation site. Unfortunately, 106-year-old Friedel passed away before the donation was completed, but he passed knowing his legacy would live on in perpetuity. Located near the town of Ranfurly, this 160-acre property had been in the Pomrink family since 1906, and it contains a mixed-wood aspen stand, numerous species of introduced trees, a wetland complex, and agricultural land. The property will continue to be farmed until 2019, at which time the crop will be turned back to permanent cover to further enhance the habitat values of the property. Friedel was an amateur botanist and planted many species of trees on the property that not only provide cover for area wildlife, but a food source for numerous species of small mammals and birds. Some cleanup on the property will be required, and we'll be looking for volunteers this summer. The property is home to moose, black bears, and white-tailed deer, and on a landscape where most adjoining property has been cleared and broken, this property provides an important refuge for area wildlife. We would like to thank the Pomrink family for carrying out Friedel's wishes to see this property conserved in perpetuity. The Alberta Conservation Association is a partner in this property, and their additional manpower and scientific expertise will be crucial in the long-term management of this unique property. The 159-acre North Long Lake Conservation Sites sits in the County of Northern Lights, about 50 kilometers northwest of the town of Peace River. It sits in the dry mixed wood subregion of the boreal forest, And even though this property is in the white zone, it still remains almost 100% treed. The forest canopy is mostly white spruce, trembling aspen, and of course in that area there's some black spruce as well. Habitat on the property consists of a mosaic of small wetlands and mixed wood forest, and is home to a variety of wildlife including elk, moose, whitetail and mule deer, black bear and even wolves. The Long Lake Conservation Site will be managed strictly as a habitat site and will provide excellent hunting and other outdoor activity opportunities for all Albertans. With land in the region being converted to agricultural use at a rapid rate, conserving intact blocks of native habitat like this is critical to area wildlife. This site sits adjacent to a Ducks Unlimited Canada conservation site, and there are several additional conservation sites in the area. The Long Lake Conservation Site is owned and managed jointly between the Wildlife Trust Fund and the Alberta Conservation Association. The North Cornerstone property is located in central Alberta, approximately 20 kilometers northwest of Innisfree, Alberta. It actually sits in a mosaic of other conservation sites and is quite unique. It's 69 acres in size and has a small wetland complex, aspen forest. It's got some native pasture and some tame pasture. It's very diverse, but it's going to fit very well into the landscape and into the existing conservation of that area. There are a large number of other conservation projects nearby. With native parkland habitat disappearing rapidly and many wetlands previously drained, it's critical that not only are existing wetlands conserved, but that previous wetlands are restored. This area boasts a waterfowl density of 21 to 40 breeding pairs per square mile and is rated very important for wetland retention. There is also an active beaver lodge on one of the wetlands, and white-tailed deer and moose are frequent visitors to the property. The uplands will be managed as a tame hay crop to provide nesting cover for waterfowl and a winter food source to feed ungulates. This property is owned jointly with Ducks Unlimited Canada, Alberta Conservation Association, and the Alberta Fish and Game Association's Wildlife Trust Fund, and is a testament to what these groups can achieve when working collaboratively. You know, the Wildlife Trust Fund has been around for over 30 years, and even the general public is getting more and more information about who we are, what we do, and what we've accomplished. And in turn, we're seeing a lot more donations of property from individuals who have managed their property long-term, their entire life basically, for conservation values. And that's exactly what has happened with the Shearschmidt property. It is one of our latest acquisitions, and it is a full donation from Jim Shearschmidt. Jim Shearschmidt had a dream and vision of having his property near Hebert Lake conserved in perpetuity. With his health declining, he worked with ACA and AFGA to finalize the donation of his 240-acre property. Mr. Shearschmidt has passed away, and ACA and AFGA will ensure his legacy and dreams live on through the conservation of his lands. This property is comprised of aspen stands and a mix of agricultural fields. There are several productive wetlands on the site, and disturbed areas are being managed to naturalize them back to the native habitat to provide feed and cover for a wide variety of birds and mammals. Typical of the parkland region, visitors will find abundant Saskatoon and chokecherries scattered throughout the property, and moose, whitetails, and mule deer are regular visitors, as are many species of small birds and small mammals. We are actively seeking volunteer stewards to help us ensure that Mr. Shearschmidt's wishes are met and this important habitat is properly managed and the conservation values conserved and enhanced. The Colson property is a small 12-acre parcel, but very important riparian habitat along the North Raven River with access to both the south and north shorelines. This is a productive piece of habitat along the North Raven River with excellent fish habitat and recreational opportunities. The original donation of land was completed through the ACA, who in turn shared the gift with the AFGA Wildlife Trust Fund. There is coniferous and deciduous forest and healthy shrubs to help conserve the quality of water in the North Raven River. This piece ties together a string of Crown and private conserved lands to ensure a contiguous corridor for wildlife and fish values along the North Raven River. Last year we gave you a brief glimpse of the Musidora 4 property, and we're happy to report that we now have title to it. We purchased this from a private individual who wanted to ensure that the property remained for conservation, and we've been able to achieve that. We hold title jointly with Alberta Conservation Association, Ducks Unlimited Canada, and the Wildlife Trust Fund. The property is 160 acres in size and is comprised entirely of native boreal forest and is located 16 kilometers northwest of Two Hills. What makes this property unique is that there are over 1,920 acres of conserved land within a 5-kilometer radius. The acquisition of this property will enhance the habitat connectivity and the habitat values of the existing protected areas. This would be a great property to explore if you've never visited a conservation site. There are numerous game trails, so don't be surprised if you run into a moose or deer or even flush or rough grouse.
The Nature Conservancy of Canada has been active in Western Alberta for many decades, and most recently we've been moving our activities a little bit further to the north. I've been a landowner in the area west of Innisfail for a number of years. My neighbor Colin Keir and I have had discussions about land conservation along the Red Deer River, along the Raven River, and in the general area west of Innisfail. Some interesting history is that my father, who was an immigrant from Norway, was a school teacher in the Camrose area, and one time he and a couple of other guys went on a fishing trip on the Raven River. He found the Raven River so beautiful and the fishing so good that he came home and told my mom that they were uprooting and moving to Innisfail so he could be closer to that great part of West Central Alberta. My dad, Nils Quisley, was a life member of the Alberta Fish and Game Association, as was Elmer Keir, Colin's dad. And our fathers were close friends and fished and hunted together. And they had many discussions about conservation, and they were both very committed to conserving wild areas. So the two of them shared a real passion for conservation. And when Colin and I started working on the Raven Ridge project, we thought it would be great to pursue that, and in a way to honor the legacy that our fathers, Elmer Keir and Nels Quisley, had left behind. So that when Colin mentioned the idea of this Raven Ridge property to me, I thought it would be a great thing for the Nature Conservancy to be involved in, and it's really terrific to see that working with the Alberta Conservation Association and the Alberta Fish and Game and with the Government of Alberta, this project has come together.
This Raven Ridge property of a half section is located a half a mile upstream from the confluence of the Red Deer River, and it's comprised mainly of a spruce forest with some mixed wood involved and a wetland in the southwest corner, which has been quite a waterfowl area for many years. The large ungulates on the property have been pretty well everything that we've got in Western Alberta, including grizzly bears and black bears. This project ties in with a Butcher Creek natural area upstream on the Red Deer with a ACA conservation project on the west end of the Glenifer Reservoir. The property will be managed by the Alberta Conservation Association personnel in collaboration with two of the local fish and game clubs, mainly Innisfail and Dixon, and some of the members would be Ian Stewart and Al Quisley, Colin Keir, and Kelsey Keir.
While property securement is the cornerstone of the Wildlife Trust Fund, there are a lot of other responsibilities involved in owning more than 40,000 acres of land in the province. These include grazing leases, oil and gas development, fencing, access issues, livestock management, noxious weed control, property inspections, neighboring landowner relations, liaison with other conservation groups, referrals, habitat assessment and evaluation. The Wildlife Trust Fund continues to be strongly supported by Alberta Fish and Game Association affiliated members and clubs. Without their help, we just wouldn't be able to do as much on the landscape here in our province of Alberta. I would personally like to thank each and every one of you for your commitment. Without your help, we certainly wouldn't be able to be as effective as we are on the landscape or with our other partners. 2018 is gearing up to be another exceptional year. We've got lots of projects that we're looking at, but in order for them to become a reality, we need your help. And we've continued to call on you year after year, and you deliver. and we're hoping that this year will be another banner year for the Wildlife Trust Fund. Working together, we're helping to ensure that our future generations will enjoy the same opportunities that we have been so blessed to have during our lifetimes.
Proper management of these properties depends heavily on AFGA members, and we have established a volunteer stewardship program to ensure they are well looked after. Volunteer stewards conduct biannual inspections and assist habitat staff with maintenance and special projects. With such a large number of properties located right across the province, there's no way these properties could be properly cared for without the dedication of our volunteer stewards. The Pronghorn Corridor Enhancement Project is a joint initiative between the Alberta Fish and Game Association and the Alberta Conservation Association. We have worked together with private landowners in southern Alberta to remove fences that are barriers to pronghorn movement and to replace barbed wire with smooth wire on bottom strands to facilitate easier movement by antelope. This project is only made possible by the thousands of volunteer hours that AFGA members commit. In the past 6 years, hundreds of miles of fences have been made more pronghorn friendly. With pronghorns at the northern extent of their range in Alberta, projects like this are more important than ever in ensuring the future of pronghorn in the province.
We got involved in pronghorn fencing maybe 4 or 5 summers ago through a mutual friend, and we've kept at it because the opportunity to see the landscape and actually walk and be part of it is one of the best opportunities we've got.
Yeah, when you're working in front of a computer for the day or sitting in traffic or all those kind of things, being able to come out into the quiet and stillness, just do some nice physical work, it beats the heck out of going on a treadmill at the gym or doing those things. And it gives you a real good connection to that you don't get a lot if you just live in the city. You don't get a connection to what's out 5 kilometers from your doorstep or 10 kilometers from your doorstep.
Or 400 kilometers.
Or 400 on a good weekend. Yeah, no, it ties you back into that kind of connection with how the province works, how the country works. It's a really great experience.
Youth are the future of the Alberta Fish and Game Association, and we run many programs to help foster their love and understanding of the outdoors. These include mentored hunts, wildlife and habitat projects, as well as providing a number of educational programs through our various clubs throughout Alberta. These youngsters are our future hunters and anglers, and by involving them in these programs at a young age, we can ensure that the future of our precious fish and wildlife resources is in good hands. Several youth camps are also held each year, and youngsters have the opportunity to learn about firearms, archery, boating, and a host of other outdoor activities. Thousands of Alberta's hunters and anglers got their start at an AFGA youth camp.
I've really been enjoying this camp and the way it's orientated. It's orientated around what I love. I love being out in the bush, hunting, fishing, just going out and enjoying the outdoors. The archery range is actually really amazing. They got tree stands and stuff, so you can practice stand shooting. The big bore range, they got handguns if you never got a chance to shoot any of those at home. They got 22s, they got some bigger rifles too when you get into the advanced courses. You get your boating license, you get your junior PAL. There's not a whole lot not to like, I guess. It's a really fun camp, and I recommend anybody that enjoys the outdoors to come out here and try it.
Women play an ever-increasing role in the outdoors, and each year we hold camps specifically for them. The Becoming an Outdoor Women's program is designed for ladies interested in honing their outdoor skills and learning more about archery and firearms. The camps offer a very fun and friendly environment for women to learn and make new outdoor friends.
Just new friends. We make lots of new friends every year.
Yeah, and we watch women grow. We watch them come from, we've got, like this time we've got an opera singer and a pianist and whatnot, and we watch them go from coming in with miniskirt and high heels sometimes to a point where they leave feeling gratified that they were able to achieve something for themselves. And then sometimes women come to learn so they can learn to shoot a gun or bow and arrow, so that when they go home to their husband, because you can't learn from your hubby, they come into it on their own.
Yep.
And that's so gratifying.
And for us, that you like to make other women enjoy the outdoors and all of the hunting and sometimes they don't even hunt, but just to be able to shoot a gun, to know that they're comfortable if they want to do it, to make it like us.
Yeah.
Another important program delivered by the Alberta Fish and Game Association is Operation Grassland Community. This stewardship program works directly with landholders in Alberta to secure and enhance prairie wildlife habitats for species at risk. OGC believes that prairie habitats can be wisely used, ensuring the sustainability of both wildlife habitats and agricultural livelihoods. Over the past decade, OGC has established voluntary stewardship agreements with over 300 landholders who are voluntarily protecting over 900,000 acres of native prairie habitat in southern Alberta. In 2013, the Alberta Fish and Game Association took over administration and the sale of the Minister's Special Raffle and Auction licenses, and are proud to be doing it again in 2018. These special licenses for bighorn sheep, elk, and mule deer raise a significant amount of funds for conservation and education projects throughout the province. The lucky winner of the elk license will have the unique opportunity to hunt the entire province outside of regular seasons. Traditionally, elk have been found throughout the foothills and subalpine regions of Alberta, but now they are very plentiful in the parkland and prairie regions of the province as well. Recent Special Minister license hunts have produced some exceptional elk, and the opportunity to harvest a bull in excess of 400 inches exists. The lucky winner will be able to hunt some of North America's biggest elk during a season that extends to December 31st. The mule deer license is the most recent of the special licenses. Mule deer are widely distributed throughout Alberta, and their numbers have steadily increased to an estimated population of 175,000 animals. Alberta is well known for producing monster bucks, including the #1 non-typical in the world. Recent Special Minister license hunts have produced some exceptional bucks, and the opportunity to take a deer in excess of 200 inches exists. The lucky winner will be able to hunt some of North America's largest mule deer during a season that extends to December 31st. The Minister's Special Bighorn Sheep license is the premier license. Alberta's provincial mammal, the Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep, is world-renowned both for its size and the magnificent habitat it occupies. Alberta rams currently occupy 8 of the top 10 spots in the Boone and Crockett record book, including numbers 1 and 2. Alberta has produced several exceptional rams in the past decade that continue to rewrite the record books. The lucky winner will have the opportunity to hunt a special season that extends to December 15th. Minister's Special License hunts have produced some exceptional rams, including #2 in the world. The possibility to take a once-in-a-lifetime trophy is a reality. The restricted funds are used by the Alberta Fish and Game Association solely for the purpose of covering the costs of implementing and carrying out conservation programs in Alberta. In order to achieve this, AFGA uses a committee comprised of various conservation organizations to make recommendations for conservation programs related to habitat improvement and fish and wildlife management. During the course of the 4 years funding, over $1 million was granted and spent on projects such as the 3 special auction licenses are sold at the Wild Sheep Show in January, and the 3 raffle licenses are available to Alberta residents only. A minimum of 60% of the total dollars raised by each of the 3 species will be allocated to projects deemed beneficial to that species. The money is used on the ground to enhance Alberta's fish and wildlife. The Alberta Fish and Game Association encourages all members to purchase tickets for these raffles. You not only have the opportunity to win one of these dream hunts, you are contributing to the future of fish and wildlife in the province. The Alberta Fish and Game Association is a strong voice in protecting the rights of hunters and anglers in Alberta. In addition to adding your voice to the largest conservation organization in the province, your AFGA membership includes all hunters and anglers in the province should become members of the Alberta Fish and Game Association. The cost of membership is low, and the strength of our voice grows with each member. We are the voice of anglers and hunters in Alberta. Be certain you are heard too. Join today.